नमस्ते, कैसे हैं आप? आध्यात्मिक चैनल से हम फिर से आपके सामने रूबरू हो रहे हैं। हर वक्त हम कोई न कोई ऐसे स्पीकर को ले आते हैं जो आपकी अपनी पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू आपके सामने साझा करते हैं। टुडे वी हैव अ वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग पर्सन which he will be talking on global Ganesh. This is very close to my heart, Ganpati. So I'm eager to listen to him and his views on Ganeshas. Before I bring him on a screen, I just want to tell you he's a spiritual soul, Aditya Bhattacharjee. Is doing doctorate in University of Peninsula, Department of Religious Studies in USA. Born in Bombay, raised in Bangkok. He is fluent in Thai, English, Hindi, Tamil, and Bengali. Actually, at a very young age, he's been interested in Ganpati. Now, I would like to call him on a screen and let's hear from him more about him. नमस्ते आदित्य जी, कैसे हैं?
जी मैं ठीक हूँ. Thank you for inviting me.
Yes, now very soon you will be doctor, right? You are doing doctorate in releasing. This is a totally different line which I ever heard. This one people are doing in religious this studies. So I am curious to know, and viewers would like to know more about you. So can you give more about yourself, that how you indulge in this Ganesha and religious studies?
Sure. I'll just pull up a quick slideshow that I prepared that can help sort of explain my journey a little bit.
Okay.
And
here we are. So go to slide number 1, huh?
Yeah. So 2, yeah. So this is me. You can see different phases in my life here. To the left, you can see me when I was a small child. So I was born in Mumbai. Yeah, Baladitya. I was born in Mumbai, Bombay at the time, and I'm from a family that is a mix. My mother is a South Indian, a Tamilian person. My father is Bengali, and I was born in Mumbai in Maharashtra. So, and then when I was 7 years old, my family moved to Thailand. And so I grew up here in Bangkok, in Asok area. I went to Rumrudi International School, which is people who are from Bangkok would know that it is a Catholic school. So I think by the time I was 10 years old, I was born in a Hindu family, Tamil Brahmin mother, Bengali Brahmin father, which are two very different kinds of religious traditions. Very different kinds of Hindu. Yeah. And then I moved to Thailand, which is a Buddhist country. Then I went to a Catholic school. So by the time I was 10, I had exposure to many different kinds of religion. And I was always very curious, to receive different visions of reality from a very young age. I mean, during Navratri season, for example, my mother would like to do Golu, which is a Tamil Navratri tradition where they take different dolls and how do you put it? Decorate a platform with different dolls of religious objects, and they keep that for 9 days of Navratri. And every evening, the women get together and they recite Lalita Sahasranam and chant different stotras and sing different bhajans. That is the South Indian tradition. Then Bengali people do Durga Puja, which is again a 5 day long puja, which they invite goddess Durga, put up a big pandal, and unlike South Indians, many Bengali people eat non-veg prasad, whereas South Indian people eat complete vegetarian during that time.
Mhm.
And then there's a third aspect. If you live in Bangkok, you know that many Thai people also celebrate Navratri. They go, if you go to what Silom temple, there is Silom Road is completely shut down, and
That's right. Yeah,
you
I
have
have been there.
at least 100,000 people show up from across Thailand to worship goddess Uma Devi or Mariamman. And so, I mean, from a young age, I saw different kinds of Hinduism practiced around me. And, children are inherently very curious and they want to make sense of different versions of the same thing. How do all these differences coexist? This is a question that I always wanted to know, and I would ask elders around me, why do you do something this way and why does our neighbor do something another way? And when I was a child, my elders would say, stop asking us difficult questions. This is not
Hmm.
why aren't you interested in science? Why aren't you interested in mathematics? Why aren't you interested in money? Why are you interested in why are you interested in why this auntie does one thing and does something another way? So but then I went to McGill University in Montreal, Canada, to
Hmm.
do my undergraduate studies. And over there, I actually first went as a pre-medicine student, but the chemistry lab used to be located next to a lecture hall where there were classes given on Hinduism. And so I used to see students coming out of the Hinduism lecture and they would have readings that would talk about how Mirabai described bhakti to Krishna, or they would talk about how Andal, that is a Tamil poet saint from the 8th century, how she would express her bhakti to Krishna. And
Hmm.
I was curious, most of the students in these classes were not people of Indian heritage. They were people who were Canadian or American or from France. And I don't know, I thought that this is also my heritage, but and I was very curious about it, but I didn't have the bookish knowledge to supplement that emotional attachment to these subjects. So very quickly, I actually changed my major and declared religious studies and history. And
Hmm.
many people dissuaded me, saying, "No, don't do this. If you do this, you won't have a job, you won't have a career." But I don't know. I stood my ground. I stood strong to my passion because it was
Hmm.
important, and it has helped me a lot to make sense of the world that made who I
Hmm.
am as a person. You know, in order to understand religion in Thailand better, I had to learn how to read and write Thai, which is something I did not learn as an international school student. And after learning to read and write Thai, I kid you not, suddenly Thailand as a country became so much more fascinating to me because I could see so many similarities between Thai language and Sanskrit, Thai language and Old Hindi, Thai language and Tamil. And
Hmm.
I felt as if, this is a kind of injustice that this part of the world is so mysterious to people from India. And I've taken it on as a kind of, I mean, I see myself as a very small person, but I do see it as a kind of mission to help Indians in particular understand, just to help Indians understand that this place, even if it is another country, it doesn't have to be foreign. We
Hmm.
share lots of the same cultural roots. And for that reason, in the differences, we can find things to bond to bond together upon, you know? So I think the
Uh-huh.
study of religion in particular, people think of religion as something that divides, but I take the opposite view and believe that religion can help unite people. It can help unite individuals, it can help unite groups, it can help unite countries and cultures. So
Mm-hmm.
that is how I view my study. And I think Ganpati is maybe the best god to study if for anyone who wants to learn how opposites can unite. Ganpati is probably the best case study, you know, because
Mm-hmm.
there's a famous scholar of Hinduism called Paul Courtright. He wrote the first big book about Ganpati in English, and he said that Ganpati is part animal, part human, part god, part demon. He's mischievous but also very nice. You know, all these opposites in the universe. He's the son of the god and goddess of the universe, but he has a tiny rat as his vehicle. All these opposites in the universe, he brings them together in what you can say is a dynamic tension. It's something that is dissonant, something that is incongruent, but it leads to new beginnings,
Mm-hmm.
which is why I think Ganpati, for anyone who wants to understand any aspect of India, Indian history, Indian religion, Indian
Yeah,
culture, high
describe
religion.
the Ganpati in India better. We see Ganpati in India and Ganpati here in Thailand, Ganpati in Indonesia or Japan. I'm sure that you must have studied. So let's start it from what do you see the difference between history of Ganesha in India and how,
Absolutely. Let me just pull the slide back
yes,
on.
go ahead.
Uh,
Yes.
can
Okay.
my yeah. So on the
Okay.
screen, so on the screen you should see what are the first archaeological representations of Ganpati that we know about. So one of the most interesting things about Ganpati is that he appears in the divine pantheon of gods very randomly around the 4th or 5th century AD. So in the Vedas, there are references to a god called Ganpati, and there's a very famous stotra in Atharva Veda called Ganesh Atharva Shirsha. You can see the words on the screen. Om Namaste Ganapate Tvameva Pratyaksham Tattvamasi Tvameva Kevalam Kartasi Tvameva Kevalam Dhartasi. It's very long. I'm not going to recite the entire thing, but
Uh-huh.
it is not completely certain that the Ganpati in Ganesh Atharva Shirsham is the same entity as Ganesh that we think of today as the son of Shiva and Parvati. The Ganesh in Ganesh Atharva Shirsha is a much larger god who is Tattvamasi. Tattvamasi is the Mahavakya from the Upanishads, which basically states that thou art. You are God. You are the creator. You are the destroyer. You are everything. You are larger
Mm-hmm.
than life, basically. So the Ganesh that we see in the Vedas is very, I mean, you can make the argument if you wanted to that this is the same person. This is the same be. I don't want to say person because Ganesh is not person implies that you are something limited. Ganesh, I think, is larger than life, and that is what the Veda is trying to tell you. In
Mm-hmm.
the Puranas, however, especially in Linga Purana and Ganesh Purana, which starts appearing in around the 5th to 6th century of the Common Era, so after Christ, the Puranas give you more detailed um, accounts of who this Ganesh is, who this mysterious creature that we see in the Vedas. He is he has the head of an elephant. And there are many stories of how he gets the head of the elephant. Everybody knows the story of how Parvati made Ganesh by mixing the soil with the
Mm-hmm.
sweat and dirt from her body, and she produced a child, and then that child is told to guard her bathing chamber. Then Shiva comes, they fight. Shiva chops the head off, and then they replace the head of the elephant. That is the most
One.
popular story. But
Mm-hmm.
there are others as well. Some stories believe that Ganesh appeared out of nowhere, fully formed as the head of the elephant, and Ganesh created the entire universe. That is
Mm-hmm.
one version. Another version believes that Shiva and Parvati, they had a child normally, as you know, as a father and mother produce a child.
Okay.
Then they were very happy when they had this child, and so they invited all the gods to a big party in Kailash. And among the gods that they invited, they also invited Shani Dev, the planet Saturn. And Shani Dev had a curse where if he looked at something directly with through his eye, that thing would
Mm-hmm.
burn. And so Parvati, she paraded her child in front of all the gods, but Shanidev refused to look, and Parvati became upset. She told the child, "Why aren't you looking at my?" She told Shani, "Why aren't you looking at my baby?" Shani was afraid, but
Uh-huh.
he knew what would happen. But at the same time, Uma Devi, Shakti herself, is commanding him to look at the child.
Uh-huh.
So he raises his head, he looks at the baby burns to ashes, or the baby's head comes off. Then Parvati sends Nandi down onto earth and says, "Bring up the head of the first thing that you see." And that is one account of how Ganesh gets his head. One of the very interesting things about Ganesh is that, you know, Ganesh, as far as art and sculpture goes, there are many different kinds of representations. There are anywhere between 32 to 48 different forms, for 32 to 48 different rupas of Ganesh. And there are as many as 1,001 different names of Ganapati. But as
Mm-hmm.
far as the stories go, there are many stories that are on a very limited number of topics. You know, the stories mainly go about who is this god, where did he come from, how did he get his head of the elephant, and why does he have one tusk? You know,
Mm-hmm.
so I think I teach classes on mythology in my university. And when we look at myths, you know, we can think of myths as expressions of anxiety at any given, or as expressions of social concerns at any given moment in time. So I think today, well, at many different points of history, people have looked at Hinduism and they've had a very wrong impression that, oh, Hindus are those people who worship uh, animals. They look at it as something that's derogatory.
Mm-hmm.
And I think people in the 5th century, Hindus in the 5th century, also probably felt that, oh, this is something extraordinary. The fact that we have a god that is an animal. Why does he have this appearance? So I think to confront or to make sense of that puzzle, you had many different kinds of stories that were, let's say, revealed. I don't want to say created, because created means that it's not real, and I don't want to offend anyone's belief, but many different stories emerged.
See,
Uh,
in Indian, just wanted to add on to this one, and just we have a nursing avatar,
yeah,
Vishnu, half lion, half human, and then we have a which is the Vaman, the one who carries the whole globe on their tusk, the
Varaha.
boar, Varaha, yeah.
Varaha.
So we have monkey, that's Hanuman. So uh, animal and human form. I see there are many gods are there, but the Ganesha is the most worshipped, most adored, most what you call you've seen everywhere.
Absolutely. And I think, you know, in the history of the world, this division between animal and human is rather recent. You know,
Hmm.
in in the Vedas and Puranas and all of these early epics, there are many accounts of people talking to animals, developing friendships with animals. And it
Hmm.
shows that animals are not separate from us, or we are not superior to animals per se. Even in the stories of the Buddha, I mean, the Buddha saves tigers, and gives them nirvan. Uh, so it makes you think that a lot of what we take to be all of the divisions that we see today between man and animal, man and woman, these are, you can say, created by us as opposed to inherent to nature. nature
Hmm.
Nature operates at a very different rhythm and has a very different set of rules to the ones that man operates upon. And I think studying Ganesh helps you realize that. So and I think, moving ahead, I also want to think about Maharashtra and Ganpati. Maharashtra
That's
today
right.
is
Hmm.
as a big center of Ganpati. So I just quickly want to summarize, the history of Ganesh.
Yeah.
Ganesh, first representation of Ganesh that we see is in Madhya Pradesh, in a cave called Udaygiri. Then, very quickly, Ganesh spreads across the world. He spreads from, you can say, he spreads from Konkan, Konkan to Cambodia, Kabul to Cambodia. They find Ganesh statues
Okay.
all wherever there was Hinduism, Wherever there is
Hmm.
Hinduism, Buddhism, and Jainism, you find some statue of Ganesh. In Afghanistan, they found Ganesh statues that are 1300 to 1400 years old. And same in Cambodia. But what is interesting is that while Ganesh became very popular in the medieval time, suddenly Ganesh, you can, no, I don't want to say disappeared, but became less prominent. The one state in India, however, that preserved a very strong Ganesh culture is Maharashtra,
Maharashtra. Yeah.
which around the 16th century became, they developed these 8 pilgrimage sites around Pune called the Ashtavinayak. Each
Ashtavinayaka.
each Ashtavinayak temple has its own story I won't get into, but that helped preserve Ganesh Bhakti in India. And
Hmm.
another big center is Tamil Nadu, which has a beautiful Ganesh temple called Patti. It's in the Chettinad area. Uh, it's one of the most prominent Ganesh temples in India today. And I don't know
Hmm.
if people know Sri Ganesh restaurant in Sukhumvit Soit 13.
That's
Uh,
right. Hmm.
he has a very beautiful statue. He has a very beautiful photo of
Ah,
Patti Ganpati. It's a very
okay.
powerful temple. So, another reason for Ganesh remaining popular in Maharashtra is the fact that the Maratha ministers, the Peshwas, they believed that they saw Ganesh as their Kuldevta, or as their Ishtadevta rather. So they celebrated Ganesh Chaturthi at a very Ganesh Chaturthi you have every month actually. Many people think Ganesh Chaturthi only happens in Bhadrapad month, in September. Actually, every month has Ganesh Chaturthi and Sankashti Chaturthi, which
That's
is the
right.
fourth day of the cycle, the lunar cycle. But the Peshwas, they revived this Bhadrapad Chaturthi into a very large celebration, but it was one day long. After the Peshwas declined, the British took over Maharashtra, and the British cracked down on large gatherings of Indians because they were afraid that if Indians get together, they will launch anti-colonial movements. One of the areas in which British did not intervene, however, was religious practices. And in the 1890s, we had a very prominent freedom fighter, Lokmanya Tilak,
That's
Bal
right.
Gangadhar Tilak.
Bal Gandharva. Bal Gangadhar.
He was a Chitpavan Brahmin from Pune area, and so he was familiar with Ganesh Bhakti, and he knew that people across Maharashtra, across different castes, and across different communities respected Ganpati. So he was looking for an occasion to unite people and create a collective consciousness of people as Maharashtrians, of people as Hindus, of people as Indians. And so he revived this Ganesh Chaturthi festival, and he followed what was happening in Bengal, where they celebrate Navratri, Durga Puja for many days. He
Hmm.
transformed that 1 day long Ganesh Chaturthi festival into 10 days.
Uh-huh.
So this happened in the 1890s, and it gradually grew into today. It is a large industry. And now, I mean, Uncle, you grew up in Pune, so you know how big Ganesh Chaturthi is. And
Now, similarly, Bangkok also is following, and there are so many mandals have happened. Means clubs have they are doing this one global, this one what you call Ganesh Chaturthi. They are
mhm,
doing annually by different group of people. So in India, we call mandal,
yes, so that
and
is
similarly in Thai also Thai mandals are there. So they are
so.
celebrating in different area, different way, but they do same arti and just pronunciation a little bit different. Well, you know more than me because you've been researching on it. So let's talk about the global Ganesh. What
Uh,
is mean? What do you
so
believe in this? What explain to me on this one? Global Ganesh.
so this is the title actually of my dissertation, Global Ganesha.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you how I stumbled upon this topic. So I mean,
Mm.
I have lived in I have lived now in 4 different cities in the world. I was born in Mumbai, as I said. I grew up in Bangkok. Then I lived in Montreal, Canada for 10 years. And I now live in Philadelphia. And in each of these cities, I have engaged in many different kinds of activities. I've taught classes. Uh, and I mean, I teach many classes on Hinduism. And in some of my classes, I get students from different, how do you say, different ethnicities. I have students who are of Indian
Okay.
heritage, people who are from, say, the Caribbean also, or people from Sri Lanka who also are Hindu. But then I also have students who have no background in studying Hinduism. Uh, and so they don't know much about Hinduism. However, often the one thing that they know is, oh, yeah, Hindus, you are the people who have the god with the elephant head, isn't it? You know? So it seems as if everybody across the world, they may not know much about Hinduism, but they know about this god with the elephant, with the head
Okay.
of the elephant. And so, and there is no revulsion per se to this god. If you study colonial writings about Hinduism, British and Western colonialists, among the various Hindu gods, they did not like many of the Devis, for example. They did not like goddesses like Kali, Chamunda, Chinnamasta.
Mhm.
These are the gods that drink blood and cut the skulls of demons. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with those goddesses. I'm not trying to degrade any god, but that is what they thought was bad about Hinduism. Ganesh, on the other hand, had a rather positive reception. People looked at Ganesh and they'd say, "Oh, this is curious." And I think part of it is because elephants have a very positive connotation across the world. Elephants are really large. They are the largest mammals that
Mhm.
exist. But at the same time, they are very gentle. With the amount of size and mass that an elephant has, it can wreak a lot of havoc. And which does happen. If an elephant goes crazy, it can cause lots of problems. But more often than not, they choose not to. They're very kind, very docile. I mean, they can love you so much. And I think so when people see that there is a God that has this very loving attribute on top of a body of a small baby, on top of a small child, they think that this is something that should deserves worship, or that deserves it doesn't deserve hatred. So I think that is one explanation, I think, for Ganpati's global popularity. So that is what I'm studying. And I mean, I grew up in
That's a good
Thailand.
thought. Huh? I never thought about that.
I grew
That's
up in
very good.
Thailand.
You explained. Uh-huh.
I I grew up in Thailand, and so I mean, I've spoken to different Thai people over the course of my research, and many Thai people have told me that 50 or 100 years ago, they had never heard of Ganpati. They had never, or they did not know so much about Ganesh. They knew that there was this god who had the head of an elephant, but if they thought of an Indian or Hindu god, the first names that would come to them were gods like, say, Indra or Brahma or Kubera, Vaishravana. In Thai, they say Tawesuwan.
Very
Those were
soon.
the first, yeah, or Prametorani, Dharani Devi, the goddess of the earth.
Hmm.
Ganesh was not the first name that came to them. But now, I mean, in the last 20 to 30 years, Ganesh has become such a, how do you say, common phenomenon. I mean, every other street corner in Bangkok will have a small Ganesh statue. If you walk, I mean, both you and I live in Sukhumvit area. If we walk from Soy 1 to Ekamai, and you look at the different businesses that line the street, because this is uh, a very business infested neighborhood. I would I would take a bet that at least half to two-thirds of the business have a small Ganesh statue.
That's
Tailor
right. Yeah.
shop, travel agency, what else? Barber shop, massage parlor. They all have they more likely than not will have a Ganesh statue sitting next to their Buddha. You know, and now, and so I wanted to understand, why is Ganesh becoming so popular in Thailand? You know, they can,
Mhm.
Thai people, I mean, there are many different gods that many scholars will say that it is because Ganesha gives you money. That's why they are interested in Ganesh. I mean, Hinduism has so many gods that can give you money. Lakshmi will give you money. Kubera will give you money. Even Vishnu can give you money. But the level of adoration towards Ganpati is extraordinary. You know, so that is, and this is kind of what I've been trying to study in my research. And in order to do that, I've had to study how Ganesh arrived in Thailand. And so I put the two photos that I've put on the slide. I just want to quickly talk about them. The one on the left is a painting by the very famous Thai painter, Chalerm Chai Khosit Pipat. Um, he was the national artist in, I think, I want to
I
say
think Chiang Rai,
2000. He's in Chiang
he made
Rai,
the
exactly.
yeah, he made that white temple, no, which is a whole.
Exactly.
So it become a tourist spot.
Yeah, so he's a very strong Ganesh devotee.
Hmm.
In fact, there's an interview somewhere where he says that Ganesh is the symbol of imagination. Because he says he has the head of an elephant and the body of a little child. You know, but he has so much power and so much possibilities. You can represent Ganesh in so many different ways. Like you see on the left in this painting, he's like this cosmic figure who's sitting on a throne, who has modaka, and there's the sun behind him. But on the right, he's like a little boy, you know, little village boy from Thailand, who is wearing sarong and has that bun on the head. You know,
Hmm.
and Thai artists play around with representations of Ganesh. And so, to understand how we arrived here, I've been researching the history of Ganesh in Thailand. And I mean, many people know that the connection between between South and Southeast Asia, I don't want to use the word India because India today is three, four different. I mean, India at that time is three, four different countries. So I want to say South Asia. But
Hmm.
the connections between South and Southeast Asia are very old, at least 2,000 to 2,500 years old. And I mean, as I said, the first sculptures of Ganpati in India occur in the 4th century, but already about 100 years later, you have Ganesh statues appearing in Southeast Asia, in Thailand, in Cambodia, in Vietnam, in Burma, and then in Indonesia and China, and all the way up to Japan. In Japan, you see Ganpati statues appearing around the 9th century, but in Thailand specifically, I think the first Ganesh that we know of is in the 7th century, around the 600s. And that statue you can see on the screen, it's a Ganesha that was excavated in Mahosot. It's in eastern Thailand near Prachinburi province. It's an archaeological ruins. And I think about 120 years ago, archaeologists discovered fragments of this Ganesh statue that you see on the screen. For a very long time, this Ganesh statue was at the National Museum in near Sanam Luang. But now they have moved it to Prachinburi. And this year, actually, to encourage Thais to take an interest in their heritage, in history, and to visit museums, the
Hmm.
Ministry of Fine Arts opened this statue to the public for the public to come and worship. So for 10 days of Ganesh Chaturthi, you could from Ganesh Chaturthi to Anant Chaturdashi, the day of Visarjan, public could visit the museum, they could go to the statue, they could pray. In front of the statue, they had a mantra, Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha, and they had a small thali where you could put money offerings. So, I mean, the government of Thailand realizes that now Ganesha worship is spreading. People across different ethnicities, people across different social backgrounds, people from the princesses down to sweepers on the street have have bhakti in Ganpati, and that is what I think is different about Thailand, Ganesha in Thailand, as opposed to Ganesha in other countries. I mean, Uncle, you and I have had this conversation before about
Yeah,
how.
I just want to add this one. In ministry,
Mhm.
also they have Ganesha emblem.
Yes, yes, I have that photo. I'll just quickly. You can see here.
Yeah, this is
It is on
official
the.
seal on
Yeah,
extremely right.
yeah. I will get to that. I'll talk about how
Okay.
Ganesha appeared in the Fine Arts Ministry. But so Ganesha was around in Thailand as soon as Ganesha appeared in India, almost 100 years later, you have Ganesha in Thailand. So I think Thai people have as much right as Indians to claim that Ganesha belongs to them. This is my
Hmm.
personal opinion. Um, but around the 1200s, 1300s, when Buddhism becomes the state religion, when the kings of Sukhothai adopt Buddhism as the religion of the kingdom, Ganesha becomes a little less popular. There are still Ganesha statues that are being made, but it's not as prominent as, say, the Buddha was. But when the Chakri dynasty comes to power, each Chakri king actually made their own Ganesha statue. In fact, if you go to the Sanlak Muang in Prapadang around Samut they have
Hmm.
a very beautiful Ganesha statue that dates to, I think, Rama 1 or Rama 2 times. Uh,
Hmm.
but there's a revival of Ganesha around the time of Rama 5 and Rama 6. Rama 5 in particular, uh, he, he he was a great admirer of Asian art before colonialism. So he would tour across Asia and he went to Indonesia. And from Indonesia, he came back with 2 truckloads of Asian antiquities for both Buddhist and Hindu heritage. And two of the objects that he brought back from Indonesia were these Ganesh statues, one of which you can see on the right. It is Rama 5 and his courtiers. They're sitting in front of this very beautiful Ganesh statue that is today housed at the National Museum. It has its own independent room, and it is. during exams, people go to that museum and pray.
Hmm.
For a long time, it was the only room in the museum that had an air conditioner. So that
Hmm.
Ganesh is very popular. Uh, and next to that is a Ganesha statue, which is at uh, is Prasad Nakhon Luang in Ayutthaya. So this is
Hmm.
a Ganesh statue that dates to Ayutthaya times, but which was re-excavated during the time of Rama V.
Hmm.
And today it is there in that temple. That is a very other particular feature of Ganesha in Thailand. Lots of Buddhist temples also have Ganesha statues that stand outside the main vihan or the ubosot where the Buddhist chanting happens. Ganesha statue is also there. So this blending of Ganesha and Buddhism in Thailand is very exceptional. But it starts as a phenomenon in Rama V's time, and then Rama 6 is the one who takes it to the next
Just
level.
want to say Rama 9, Rama 5, what we are talking is a King Rama.
Yes,
We have
yes,
Raman 1, 2, 3, means king number 1, king 2. Now we have king number 10.
yes. Now we are in king number 10.
Yeah.
Rama 6, who is the grand uncle, the great uncle of Rama 10, he was the among the different kings, he admired Ganesha the most.
Hmm.
We're not completely sure why. One story that I've heard is that Rama the Sixth was a student at Oxford, and he was a very nervous student. Somebody told, and he liked. He was very interested in Indology. The late 19th century is the time when Westerners become very interested in studying Indian history. And you have departments of Indian history and studying of Indian archaeology appear all across in Oxford University, Cambridge University, Harvard University, Göttingen University in Germany, lots of places. And so Rama Six, he was friends with many students in the Indology department of Oxford. And when he was afraid before an exam, somebody told him, "Have you heard of this god Ganpati? If you pray to him, you will pass your exam." And so he prayed to Ganpati, and they say he passed. I'm not sure if this is true or not. This is a story that I've heard.
Hmm.
And ever since he developed strong bhakti towards Ganpati. And when he returned to Thailand, he was very interested in Hindu mythology and Hindu stories. And so he wrote many plays, operas, and dramas that were based on Hindu themes. So, for example, Abhignana Shakuntalam, the story of Shakuntala, he
Uh-huh.
wrote a Thai version about it. And then the story of Ganpati, he wrote a drama based on how Ganpati got one tusk, on how Ganpati got his head. And in his own palace, his private palace is Sanamchan, which is in Nakhon Pathom, right next to Prapathom Tedi, the first Buddhist temple in Thailand, they say. He had his own personal Ganesha temple, which you can see on the screen. It is the image that is third from the left. And the photo that is on the extreme left includes a verse, a poem that Rama the Sixth composed in order of Ganesha. If I should I read or is it?
Yeah, if you read, it's good. I mean, so viewers cannot see. It's just such as
Uh,
tiny.
Let me
If you read
see if
it,
okay, I will just pull it up on my screen because you're right, it is very tiny. My Thai pronunciation is not very good, so people forgive me. I hope it's okay. It reads in Thai, ชนได้วางคำอุปสรรคเพิ่งผ่านพื้นพำนักเอ่อพิคเนสพิคเนสนาทะสำเร็จสำสำเร็จสมสมดังจินดาพระองค์พระคำพีคณาจันไร basically it says that Ganesha helps you overcome obstacles.
that's right. Yeah.
Ganesha is the jewel that will help
Vigna
you
Harta.
overcome
We
obstacles.
call it Vigna Harta.
Vignaharta, exactly. So even Rama the Sixth, he recognized this. Rama the Sixth, I think, gets very under recognized among the history of Thai kings, but he was extremely knowledgeable about Hinduism and about the different gods. So, but Rama the Sixth is the one who founded the Ministry of Fine Arts, and he chose Ganesha as the logo. And I think it's because Ganesha helped him to develop creativity and pass his exam. So he chose Ganesha. I mean, Ministry of Fine Arts is what is responsible for curating heritage in Thailand. And so wherever you go to an archaeological site in Thailand, you will find this sign. You will find this photo of Ganesha over there. So Ganesh, that I think is what helped many Thai people see Ganesha as a
Mm.
god of art, which is why for the last 100 years, many Thai people believe that Ganesha is the god of fine arts. Before any white crew ceremony, the ceremony honoring a teacher in art school, arts or dance school, they would have a ceremony honoring Ganesha, which is why media people, especially in Thailand, really believe in Ganpati because they believe Ganpati can help them in performance, which is actually not that dissimilar in India also. Many musicians worship Ganpati a lot. Um,
Mhm.
but I think the scene Ganesha changes from being a god only of art he goes from being tape hang silapa to tape hang kwam samret, from silapa to success, from art to success. Uh, in the late in the 1990s to early 2000s, that is when you see a real change. So my belief is that this is directly correlated to the Tom Yam Kung economic crisis,
Mhm.
when I know many of us personally experienced that. Overnight, people who were very wealthy became poor, you know,
That's right.
and conventional religion in this country, as it existed, people became a little disenchanted. In the decades prior to that economic crisis, Thailand was one of the wealthiest countries in Southeast Asia. And then suddenly the situation reversed. So people were looking for alternatives to the conventional religion that existed in Thailand. And I think that is when Ganesh became especially valorized. So I think there were a few reasons for that. One reason I think had to do with the milk miracle in 1995. I think even in your house, did that milk miracle
That's
happen?
right. That's right. Even
You
though
know,
many TV channels came and they wanted to see really, and there was a long queue. People were holding the glass of milk, and they were offering to the Ganapati, because in my building we had a very big Ganapati statue made of
oh,
marble. So we thought, okay, marble is sucking the milk only. Then we took the another brass one. Ganapati kept next to that one, and that particular time, even the milk was being drunk by by brass statue too. So so many Thai people, they have a strong belief in that one, and it was recorded and
yeah.
related to TVs and this thing. No, it was
And what is
totally new phenomena.
what is interesting about that miracle is that it happened everywhere in the world. I mean, it happened in Thailand, it happened in Bombay, it happened in Delhi, it happened in Hong Kong, it happened in New York City.
My sister in Spain, she called me. Said, "Papni, did you see Ganapati drinking milk?" I said, "No, no." So after that, I came to know. So we tried, me and my wife. We tried this one and just sucked. Okay, then the news spread it everywhere.
It's so that is I think that is part of the contributing factor to Ganpati gaining that prominence in Thailand. But then another big important reason I think is in the mid 2000s you had lots of temples, coming up in Bangkok and the peripheral areas that had these Ganesh statues. I mean, in
That's
Bangkok, one of the famous ones is in Hue Kwang, which once upon a time I think was that traffic intersection used to have many accidents. And then an Achan, he put up a Ganesh statue over there, and suddenly
Mhm.
accidents stopped. uh, then you have these temples like Vatsaman, Ratanaram. I have the statue of that Ganesh on the screen. That temple was actually, nobody knew that temple
Mm.
before mid 2000. It was a very insignificant village temple that hit hard times after the economic crisis. And so one day, it needed lots of renovations needed to be done. And one day, the Chawawa, the abbot of that temple, he had a dream of Ganpati appearing in this reclining form, like the Buddha in Wat Po.
Reclining
Um,
Buddha and reclining Ganapati.
yeah, so that is what triggered the birth of that Ganpati. There's a miracle associated with the building of this Ganpati statue. The abbot did not have enough money. He had money only for one rainy season to fund the construction of the statue. And the
Mhm.
architect that they hired to do this, he was not confident that he could finish in one season, because he said, if it rains, the building will be halted. How can I build it? But the abbot said, no, this is the only thing I can give you. So they said, okay, we'll try. Miraculously, that year, the rain only fell after sunset. So they could do the construction within a single season.
Mhm.
And as the news of that spread across central Thailand, people began coming to this temple. And today it is one of the wealthiest temples in. It's a Buddhist temple. The abbot, I mean, you go there, there is a fully fledged Buddha shrine where they do chanting every day. But next to that, you have a park. And I think that is what this temple is most popular for. You can go there, you can take selfie in front of
Most
Ganpati,
crowded
you
and
can,
mostly most visited people mostly they come. So this is the and
yeah,
similar. Very next to this one was standing Ganesha, the tallest
yeah,
Ganpati.
yeah.
I think you have the photo. If you have to, you can
I
illustrate that
don't
one.
think I don't think I put that one up, but that one is also very made completely out of bronze.
That's right.
I
It's
think
a tall one.
120 or 130 feet tall, the tallest in the
That's
world.
right.
So this I think is very unique to Thailand, and people, when they saw these statues, they realized, and many people who visit these temples, they report miracles happening in their life. And these are not these are many of these people whom I speak to are educated people. They aren't people who you know are blind. They are smart. They're critical thinkers, but they say that things happen to us when we go here. We feel things in this Ganpati. They don't want to change their religion. They don't want to leave Buddhism and become Hindu, but they realize that Ganpati is powerful. And I think that
Hmm.
power is reflected in the size of the statues. And so it started from there. And then now Ganpati is literally, you can see, again, I say you can see in every street corner. And this leads to the next section of what I wanted to talk about, how once upon a time Ganesh in Thailand was limited to artists. But now you have a big industry of achans. Uh, they are laymen and women who who want to who call themselves achan. Achan is a Thai word that is basically, it is the word acharya in Sanskrit, becomes achan in Thai, meaning a teacher or a professor. So you have lots of Thai uh, lay people who want to spread knowledge about Ganpati across Thailand. And I mean, some of the famous Achans that I have met are Achan Best. He lives in Chiang Mai. Then there's Achan Mik. He runs the Ganesha Museum in Chiang Mai, which is a very beautiful museum. I don't know if you have visited there. Uh, it has so one there is I mean, when we think of Hinduism and the different nikayas, the different sampradayas of Hinduism, there's today the most popular ones are Shaiva, Shakta, and Vaishnava. Shiva, Shakti meaning Durga, and Vishnu. But once upon a time, there was an independent sampradaya devoted solely to Ganapati. This was in around the 9 and 1000s. And the people who were part of the sampradaya believed that Ganpati, he lived in his own island called Sananda Dhama, meaning the island of the Dham. Dham, you could say, is the abode of eternal happiness.
That's right.
And Ganpati is sitting over there. That's This island is surrounded by water of sugarcane juice. And in the middle of that island, Ganesh is sitting on a lotus. And he's surrounded by his 8 consorts, 8 siddhis. Each siddhi has a name, and they are all Ganesh's wives. And so the Ganesh Museum in Chiang Mai they have designed a kind of a terrestrial Swananda Dham for people to go and worship. And this is the brainchild of Atan Mek in Chiang Mai. In Bangkok, you have a different set of Achans. There's Achan Chiang. He has his temple I think it's in Rama 2 area. Then there's Achan A. He has his temple around A Chakapat. He is around uh, Samutrakan area. So there's a lot of interest, and the people who are patronizing these institutions are not Indians. In fact, many Indians are not as involved, I think, as they can be in promoting Ganpati in Thailand. I mean, when you live overseas, to promote your culture in a big way, you really need the cooperation of the local population, and that is where Ganpati functions as a diplomat of sorts. A divine diplomat who helps bridge these boundaries between Thais and Indians.
I
Uh,
like this word, divine diplomat. Yes, very good.
you
I
know,
like this. Yeah,
I mean, this year I think you were involved in organizing the Diwali
that's right.
celebration. I mean, in the middle of the display, there was these there were you had they had set up Ganesh statues,
That's
and
right.
so
Ganesh,
many Thais.
over 300,000 people they came to worship this one. And the governor of Bangkok was so much amazed. He said, please do it again. So we will be preparing for Ganesh Chaturthi again with a big way. Next Diwali will be done again.
So again, I feel that Ganesh. I mean, I want to move on to the next. I mean, I want to think about why Ganesh is so popular. You know,
Mhm.
uh, and honestly, I'm not sure if we can find any single answer to why Ganesh is popular. I mean, I think there's a combination of factors. I mean, I put up 3 photos to sort of help us discuss why he has this
Mhm.
popularity. I mean, at one level, Ganesha is associated with royalty, as I've said, and you can see that in the middle. There is the Ganpati statue, which is at Central World. I
That's
mean,
right.
it is a
Yeah.
gold
Well,
plated,
yeah.
and
And lots of people they stand there, and
you
especially
know
new couples on they go there. They take
yeah,
the vows, take the blessings from them.
that Ganpati is interesting because it is next. There's Ganpati, and next to that there is this
Yeah,
Trimurti god, which is I think Dattatreya. They call in
that's right.
Datta Guru in India,
That's
uh,
right.
and in Thailand, at least one of the big differences between Ganpati in Thailand today and Ganpati in Thailand, say 1,000 years ago, is that, or Ganpati in Southeast Asia 1,500 years ago. In those times, the Ganpati statues that you would see were very that this Ugra Swarupa, Ugra as in fierce appearance. And
Mm-hmm.
so they would have lots of weapons. Like you can see even in this central world Ganpati, he's holding Trishul in one hand and
Mm-hmm.
another other weapons in another. And you can see even at the National Museum Ganpati, he's sitting on top of skulls and he's holding a kapal, skull in another hand. You see Ganesh holding modak, but 1500 years ago he was drinking blood out of a skull in the statues. Uh, but that being said, he has changed, he has evolved, he has moved from being this very a god who was slightly fierce and royal towards a god who is more docile. Like you can see on the left, he's looking at you in that photo very gently. These very beautiful eyes, that is like Karuna Rasa, from Ugra to
Mm-hmm.
Karuna. Ganesha can really, even though there's a limited amount of stories, he can really transcend these different navarasas that exist in Hindu philosophies of emotion, and I think that helps you understand what religion is. We can, I mean, many people like to give simple answers regarding what religion is. Some people will tell you, oh, religion is just culture, religion is just community, religion is just going to a temple, giving an offering to God and coming back home. I would say that religion is all of those things, but it is also feeling.
Mm-hmm.
It is feeling this sense of connection between yourself and something beyond you. I mean, if you have lived a full life, this is my personal opinion, but people are free to take it or they're free to reject it. But if you have
Mm-hmm.
lived a full life, you know that there's very little that is within your control.
Mm-hmm.
We are very limited as far as what we are capable of doing. That being said, the idea that there are external forces external to us that decide how our lives will be determined should not be a controversial idea, you know? And to feel connected to that requires that we be very in touch. We communicate constantly with our bodies and with our emotions. And I think Ganesha as a god, again, his appearance is so extraordinary. He plays with these different motifs from nature that are very that force you to stop and think about your emotions. Like elephant, a god, an animal that is very powerful but also docile. Childlike body, which is again, it is not very powerful, but it forces you to stop and pay attention to it. So you can like Ganpati, you can dislike Ganpati, you can have whatever opinion you want about Ganpati, but you cannot ignore him. Which is why, I have this artist friend who designed this photo you see to your right of all the different gods gathered together to have dinner. I think it's no accident that he chose Ganpati to represent Hinduism. Because if you think of Hinduism, Ganesh is kind of automatic, the one of the first gods that you will think of. So
Mm-hmm.
I think Ganesh can help us understand how we can subscribe to forms of religiosity that feel right, like people in Thailand, as you have said, they will be Buddhist, they will go to Buddhist temple, but they will also pray to Ganpati. And I asked them, you know that Ganpati is a Hindu god. Still, why do you pray to Ganpati? And they'll say, well, we know that he's not Buddhist, but it feels right to pray to him. And the
Mm-hmm.
Buddha did not tell us you cannot pray to Ganpati. The Buddha was born into what we think is a Hindu family. So he probably prayed to Ganpati. If Buddha prayed to Ganpati, why should we not pray to Ganpati?
Mm-hmm.
So, over the course of a day, we wake up in the morning, we want to eat eggs and toast. By afternoon time, we want to eat khao phat. By night time, we want to eat dal roti. Over
Mhm.
the course of a day, what we want to eat changes. Why do we want to impose these limitations onto religion? Why can it not be that at some one point in our life, we need the energy of Buddha, but at another point, we want the energy of Ganpati. At a third point, we might want the energy of Jesus. So I think this is what I hope the future of religion will be one day, where people can mix and match things in ways that make sense to them. So
That's
that is what.
excellent, man. Aditya. When very well, you 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 explained to the audience, and since time is running, we have spoken more over 1 hour. I know on Ganesha we can go speak, for hours and hours. So I think very shortly we can conclude, and we can end this program. Now we have already gone over 1 hour something.
Yeah. Again, I mean, all I want to say is Ganesha has traveled across the world, but at the same time, there is an essence that he
Hmm.
has maintained. And it is this essence which says, I think one of the things about Ganesha that he will teach you is that opposites can exist together and they can stay opposite. They
Hmm.
don't need to, and we can learn to love each other's differences. So I would love to conclude on that note.
Fantastic. Now I got a picture of tallest Ganesha here. Just want to illustrate here.
Yes,
This
that
is
is
the
in
tallest Ganesha. Yeah.
Krongkuen.
I think
Krongkuen,
they have made the Ashtavinayaka surrounding.
yeah, yeah. Surrounding it,
And,
there the Ashtavinayak pilgrimage, and now there are many of these achans. For example, Achan Best from Chiang Mai, Achan Mik.
mhm.
They organize Ashtavinayak tours for people
That's
from
right.
Thailand. So I mean, India needs to do more for people that live in Thailand. And there are many ways to learn about Ganpati in Thailand.
So Aditya, we I think we take next episode,
Yeah.
uh, Global Ganesh Part Two, very soon. Next, I know you are busy. There's a wedding going on in your home, and thank you very much that at least you gave me the time. And audience definitely will understand, and they know more about Ganapati through your uh, talks. It is your what you call thoughts on Ganapati that you have very well explained to the audience.
No, I
You,
love Ganpati so much. My supervisor and all, they say that Aditya, you talk so much about Ganpati. I'm afraid next time I see you, you will have a trunk and tusk.
yeah, if maybe they have that kind of eyes, no? Maybe Ganapati come within us.
Maybe.
Chalo, thank you very much. And
Thank you
I
so
like
much
to
for
say thank you
inviting
to
me.
all the audience. And if you like this show, we'll definitely go for more on Ganapati. Aditya, next year, I think you will be fully doctored. PhD will complete it.
Hopefully, hopefully, if
Hopefully, right?
Ganpati does
So,
it, yeah,
yeah, definitely. Ganpati, when he said Rama 6,
yeah.
he was blessed, and definitely you will be blessed also.
Thank you.
Chalo. Okay. With this one, good night. Take care. And we'll see you soon on our next episode.